The one you projected now. So let's check on the one that is on the screen, which has said that I look at it. So the question is asking, Max Weber, the way theory of management remains applicable in modern organizations, especially environment where what? Where order, efficiency, predictability, and control are critical. Highlight if it's the main one, Weber's theory is applicable. So which areas basically, or which institutions whereby you can apply? I think on this one we are done, but for the sake of repeating. So as I handle this question, I want you to identify where we were last time. So as I handle this question, please try to find out where we were so that you can move there very fast. Now, basically, talk about Max Weber. It's about bureaucracy, a lot of processes, a lot of procedures. Bureaucracy basically means what? You follow a lot of processes, a lot of procedures. Now, you are asked where situations, which situations can be able to force you to use this Max Weber bureaucratic theory. Now, the situations are listed here. The situations have been listed here, and the first one, just a minute. So let's look at the situations. Number one is public institutions. You know that in the public institutions, there's a lot of bureaucracy. Applying for a document, basically, it normally takes a lot of time. So basically, you know, in the public sector, the process is normally very bureaucratic because what? To be able to what? To check on the aspect of what? Reduce unethical behavior. Because in the public sector, basically, that is our taxes, me and you. So that's why you have to put a lot of process so that somebody don't find it easy to be able to misuse somebody's fund. So we talk about the public sector what? Government agencies often require strict adherence to laws, rules, and procedures which align with what? Weber's what? Creative principles. So if you look at the government sector, application for any, even a document, even a birth certificate, basically, there's a procedure. You cannot just apply the way you want. There's normally requirements, attachments. So there's some aspect of what? Bureaucracy. You cannot just use shortcut to be able to what? Get those documents. Number two is large manufacturing firms. Basically, they must be bureaucracy because when you when you're doing manufacturing, one thing that will happen is that you produce in large quantity. When you're producing in large quantity, there's bound to be aspect of quality measures that have to be in place. So if you compromise the process or the stages, then basically you can compromise the quality. So to ensure that you continue producing the right quality, you must ensure that what those rules, regulations, and laws are followed to the letter, or they are adhered to the letter. That is basically called what? Call it what? So that where the repetition, and quality control are critical, bureaucracy ensures uniformity and efficiency. Because when you're producing goods, basically, if you're producing loaves of bread, there's aspect of uniformity. If it's about 600 grams, you produce 600. So you cannot find something, some are 30, 50. You normally ensure that what? In terms of quality, in terms of quantity, then the quantity remains the same. Even if you produce what? 1,000 or 1,000,000 unit, that is very, very important. It's a very important aspect you have to look at. Another is what? Healthcare institutions. Basically, matters health, there's no shortcuts. In matters health, regulations have to be followed to the letter. Because if you take a shortcut in matter health, somebody can die. You can use, you may do something that we may even what end up losing somebody or end up losing life. So basically, it's important. So also, and health regulation rules rely on strict protocols and hierarchical structures for safety and legal compliance. Now, talk about strict protocols. There are protocols we followed. When somebody faints, there's a protocol. When somebody has had an accident, has broken limbs, there's a protocol. You cannot come with your own way of doing things. There's a way in which what? When an ambulance comes to the site of an accident, there's a protocol. You don't just come and carry people. There's a way to do the thing. So basically, that's a procedure so that If you go against the procedure, you can even be sued. You can even sue God, of course. So basically, it's important that what we look at those aspects of in health because what the nature of the institution. When we talk about healthcare is very what is very critical in, and also it's an area that if you make a mistake, then basically you may end up what causing a lot of damage, and even what loss of life may occur. Then number four is what? Military and police forces. This is where order is normally being used. In military or in police, you don't question. If you're told to march, you march. If you're told to move forward, you move forward. If you're told to shoot, you shoot. Basically, that's called what? Order. So in those cases, you don't have time to reason. You don't have time to reason and this is what no. What happens is that in this case, you need to ensure that what you follow the order. If you want to resign as a military officer, there's normally what a rule to follow in ordering. So basically, that is very important. Very important to look at. Then next one is regulated industries, e.g., banking, and aviation. Now, when we talk about banking, in the banking sector, I don't know if you're going to the bank, and sometimes you even feel bad. You're told to do a signature, and then your signature varies slightly with what you had signed when you're opening an account. Then start feeling bad. Say that's why you denying me my money, and I'm the one you can confirm my face. Because there's what's called protocol. We can know you, this is you, but basically you have to give a good signature. You have to sign the way you normally sign. That is called protocol. When we talk about aviation, flying of planes, landing of planes, there's a protocol for starting a plane and flying a plane. There's a protocol for landing. You cannot land the way you want. You have to follow certain procedures. If you miss those procedures, basically you can bring a you can what? You can end up causing a very big accident. So it's important that we look at those aspects very carefully. So I don't know if that question is asked well. I don't know if the questions are answered or is a question you need me to elaborate again. Any question? Any question? I think there's somebody who asked me to look at that question, and I think I've been able to repeat it. So if you have a question, okay, I'm guessing. Let me get a clarity from what I think this is Ambuche. Ambuche is asking. The question asked when. It's confused because what they asked discuss situations. Now let me read that question so that we get to understand that point very clearly. That highlights 5 situations. Situations when you apply the theory. Maybe the way the structure is the way the questions are the answer are put could be. Now, if you look at the introduction part, how I've introduced it. Look at the way the answer is. Look at how I've introduced the answer. That Weber's rule theory is best suited for structured, rule-based environment. Is applicable in the following situations. The first situation was in the public sector. If you're in the public sector, whether county government or national government, basically you apply, or person you apply the rules. In large scale manufacturing, you see, the answers look a little bit, I don't know, there's an aspect of non-clarity, but if you look at how I've been able to introduce them, I've talked about the situations that can happen. So I understand where Ambuche is coming from. Ambuche, maybe you expected us to say, for example, the first situation could be areas where we need what? Strict adherence to law. That was what you ought to have You are expecting that we say that number one, a place where there's what? There's strict adherence to law. Number two could be a situation where what? There is standardization, repetition, and quality control. Number two. Number three, we talk about what? An area which is what? Controlled by a lot of regulation, as a field or an industry which is what? Controlled by certain authority. And then also what? Talk about what? Areas with the what? The strict regulatory framework. So basically, understand how you come. But basically, you can, in both cases, you can still be able to what? To answer that question, get the question right. I don't know if Ambuche now you understand. So understand what you're saying, eh? We have talked about, we are talking about, in this case, I've been able to talk about institutions, eh? But the question was asking when. So basically, maybe how I'm explaining the institution, that when comes in. But I understand your point. Your point is so very, very correct, because you talk about what? You talk about them, and then you give an example. For example, you talk about number one, you talk about, for example, industry where the strict adherence, then you explain, then what? Example, public sector institutions. So basically, that would be also a better way of answering. That's also another way of answering. So I don't know if now it's clear, Ambuche. Is it now clear? Sasawa. So I understand now the situation. I think I've been able to illustrate the confusion. Now we're good. Now I'm asking because people are quiet. I can't really remember where we were. So I was asking, where were we last time? People are quiet. I don't know if we didn't indicate where we were, or we didn't indicate. So which paper were we doing last time? I may not be able to remember, so I'm requesting that in case anybody with an idea where we were last time? Anyone with an idea where we were last time? Anyone with an idea? You want to proceed? Or I just select a paper? Okay, since we are not sure, nobody is sure, I'll select a paper, then we can be able to look at it. So, I can see somebody has written something. So, somebody has written something. Okay, so random paper, but I don't want a paper that we have discussed before. So random paper means I have to come down here. The ones that I'm sure we have not been able to cover must be papers which are now down here. So let me select a random paper down here. Good, this one here. April 2024. This one you're done. Group decision making, this one you're done. This one you're done. So can I see that one you're done? This one. Marketing research, this one we are done. Company text marketing research, that one done. Let me look at that question here. Business incubation, access quality, this one you're done. Incubation, we are done. This one now, I think this one now. Yes, this one I think we are not done. So let's look at this question, number 6, so that we don't take much time. We can proceed as a group. Now, this question is asking, the question asks, outline 5 types of decisions made in a company. So if you have an organization, which are some of the types of decisions that are likely to be made in a company? So I want to look at some of the types of decisions that are likely to be made. Number one is called strategic decisions. So these are long-term decisions made by top management They define the direction of the organization, such as what? Entering new markets or launching a new product. So when we talk about strategic decisions, these are normally made by the strategic level management, which is basically the top level management, and their work is to their work is to ensure that what these are basically, for example, we talk about issues like entering a new market. That is the decision that has been made by top management. They sit down and say that now we want to expand. So we want to expand to which markets? We want to expand to Ugandan market. So basically, that is one of the decisions. Then number two is what? It's called tactical decisions. The second one is called tactical decisions. Which are these decisions? Now these are made by middle level management. You see, strategic decisions are normally made by top level management. Now, these tactical decisions are made by middle level managers, means in between. These decisions focus on how to implement strategic plans effectively. For example, developing marketing campaigns or recruitment plans. So basically, those are called tactical. They are normally mid-level management decisions. So once the top level has made strategic decisions, now implementing them is normally what? Done at that level. The number five, we have what's called operational decisions. Operational basically means what? These are day-to-day decisions. These are normally decisions that happens on day-to-day. Operations, you come. Those are, we call them what? Daily decisions, or decisions that are made on daily basis. So that these are day-to-day decisions made by lower level managers, so managers or supervisors, to ensure routine tasks are completed efficiently, such as scheduling staff or managing inventory. So basically, operational decisions are made by what? The junior level or the lower level managers, and they are normally what's called day-to-day operations. We will give an example there. Now, the first thing we talk about, strategic number decisions are normally made by top level management, tactical mid-level management, and then what? And then operational, basically, the lower level management. Then the next one is called program decisions. They say the way the name suggests what's called program, means they're repetitive. When we talk about this is how this system is programmed, means it can do a repetitive task day tomorrow without any problem. So these are repetitive and routine decisions made by following established guidelines or rules. For example, reordering stock when it reaches a reorder level. So things like when you want to order, do procurement, there's normally what? A program. There's normally a procedure to follow. So you repeat the same. If you're buying laptop for the company this time, you follow the same procedure. If you want to buy a car for the company, the same procedure applies. So basically, we call them what? We call them program. Because what? You every time you follow the decision or the procedure again and again and again, depending on what you're doing. Then you have what's called non-program decisions. This could be a one-off decisions that you make in a company. So that this involve unique or unstructured problems that require custom solution. For instance, handling a crisis or responding to what? Unexpected competition. So these are things that can come. For example, talk about responding to an unexpected competition or handling a crisis. Nobody is prepared to. A crisis comes sometimes when you least expect it. So when you want to manage that crisis, you may make decisions. That's what call them what? We call them non-program. Means there are things that you didn't expect, but now since they occur, you have to what? You have to find a way of what? Of handling or managing those decisions. Very, very important. That's what you look at that. You look at it very carefully. Now that is on number 1A, question 1A. Question 1B, somebody's has a point here. Let me see. Let me see what is being handled here. Consensus, participative, type of decision, basically. Consensus, those are basically decision-making techniques. Wendy, consensus these are called what? Decision-making strategies or techniques. I don't know if you're getting me, Wendy. They are not types of decisions, but basically, consensus is a decision-making technique, participative also. Basically, those are techniques, but the question was asked about what? Asking about types of decisions. So that's a very good trial. At least you've been able to get a clarity on that. So that's okay. Now, the next question here is asking, Joseph Mwala. The marketing manager of XYZ company intends to collect marketing information to enable the company make marketing decisions. Identify first of such information. So you want to collect information about marketing. So the question asks, where can you be able to what? Or which areas can you be able to collect such information? Or where do you get this marketing information? Where can you get them? Number one is what? You can get them from what's called internal company records. You can look at the records of the company and get records about sales for the last 5 years, sales record, projection, and all those things. So sales data, you can look at the sales data, how sales has been happening, customer feedback on sales, financial reports, and CRM. CRM means customer relationship management systems provide useful insight into customer preference and business power. So basically, you can be able to look at the records of the company, which include sales data, customer feedback, financial report. All this one what can help you what make a very informed decisions. Number two is what? Marketing research. You can also do research. When you do research, when you do marketing research, you are likely to come up with what? Or you're likely to come up with a very good marketing information that may not be available. So we say that involves systematic collection and analysis of data from surveys, focus groups, and interviews to understand market trends and consumer behavior. So you can also decide that, okay, I don't have information. What do I do? Let me do a research, and then from the research, I'm able to what? Get my findings. And my findings can be a source of very good information. So that is also an area you have to look at. Market, you can do a research, and from the research, you can get what? Some very vital information. The next question is on competitor analysis. The next source is competitor analysis. You can be able to what? You can try to analyze the competitor, and that one can also help you. So what do you mean? So information on competitors' pricing, you can look at how much are they pricing product in the competitor pricing. Promotion, how they do promotion? Do they do online marketing promotion? I will check on that. And product offerings, what are they offering in the market? What's their pricing? Help in benchmarking and strategy for me. So basically, you can also collect what? You can also collect competitor. You can look at a competitor now and collect very important information. Number four is what? Government and industry records. So basically, platform reports. Basically, there are a lot of reports that are very important, especially in the Kenya, we call them what? In the Kenya Chambers of Commerce, you can get a lot of information, or from the what? From the National Bureau of Statistics, basically. You can get more information about marketing, about products, about production, about industry. So basically, you can also get what? Some information for research from those kind of institutions. And then number five is online and social media platforms. Basically, you can be able to get, you can even do what do you say, a survey on social media, and people are going to respond. So basically, you're able to get information. So those are some of the 5 sources of information that you can be able to use in marketing, or you can be able to get and then what? Apply in marketing. I don't know if that question is clear. I believe it's clear. So we can move to the next one. Next question is asking, analyze 5 methods that could be applied in versions to enhance employee creativity. This is another question that has been repeating itself a lot of time. So analyze 5 methods that could be applied in a version to enhance employee creativity. What can we do to improve employee creativity as in a company? What are some of the measures you can do to ensure that the employees you have are very creative? They're very creative. Now, number one is what? Encourage open communication. That's very important. If you want to be in a creative environment, then encourage people to what? Communicate. Let them tell us what the ideas they have. Let us tell them why they think the ideas good. So basically, communication. So creating an environment where employees freely share ideas without fear or presume promotes innovation and original thinking. That is very important. Very, very important. So basically, encourage a lot of communication. So if people communicate, then basically it becomes easy for us to be able to be able to be creative, because any idea, if somebody has an idea, then basically they can be able to what? They can be able to share that idea, and that can really help. Number two is what? Providing training and development. You can also train people on areas of what? You can also train people on how to be uh, creative, areas of creativity. So you can also what? Take people training. You know, a well-trained employee is able to be creative. So that and equipping employees with skills in critical thinking, so that they think more than the ordinary person. Critical thinking, problem solving. They can also be creative. If there's a problem, then they can come with what? A creative way of solving the problem, creative techniques, creative think techniques through workshops fosters innovation. So you can do a workshop, and that can really help them. Number three is what? Establishing a reward system. This is also very good. You should ensure that what? Those who are creative or those who bring in new ideas, if their ideas work, then basically they are rewarded by the company. So that one encourages creativity. So that last year, so and so came up with an invention. The invention has helped the company. He was paid 10 million shillings for that invention. So basically, everybody else wants to be able to be innovative or creative. That's what they're able to what? They're able to earn from. So you encourage that by what? By compensating those who come up with what? With the new idea. Or those are the most creative employees are normally are compensated. That one makes it better. Number four is creating cross-functional team. Anytime you hear us talk about a cross-functional team, means it's a team made up of individuals from all other departments. We have somebody is from marketing department, we have somebody from accounting department, we have somebody from procurement department, somebody from HR. So basically, all the team that you have has experts from all over the departments or experts from all other departments. So basically, that one makes it easier, because when you want, when an issue of accounting comes in, there's an accountant there to help us understand. If an issue of marketing comes in, there's a marketer there. So basically, with those kind of information, you're able to ensure that what? You're able to ensure that you encourage creativity, because what? If you want to think about HR, then basically I can consult the HR in the team, and basically is he or she is able to, or she'll be able to give me some insight, and that one can help in being creative. That's very, very, very important. Then number five is what? Allowing autonomy and flexibility. What is autonomy? We talk about autonomy means what? Allow employees to feel like what? To feel allow employees to be a little bit, or allow employees to be independent. Let them do their work without any employees like being. When you give somebody autonomy, then basically they're able to work. They're able to ensure that works. They're able to be creative. If you give me work to do, don't follow me up so much. Allow me to use my skill to solve that problem. That's called autonomy. So giving employees freedom on how to approach tasks and solve problems can lead to what? Unique and effective solutions. So don't always tell them that, give them a problem, but let them use their own skills, their own intelligence to solve the problem. Don't wait until now, or don't give them a problem and then you want them to solve the problem. Ensure that what? You try as much as possible to allow them to use their own skill to solve. They become creative in solving that problem. What's the problem? Wendy, you have written something called in control. What does that mean? What do you mean in control? I don't understand what you're asking, Wendy. So I'm just asking for clarification. You have written in control. What does that mean? Oh, yeah. So I understand now. Basically, autonomy means what? You're given freedom to what? To control what you're doing. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you, Wendy. Now, question 2 is asking, Ngatej is asking, Can point 5 be named as business culture? Let me look at that point 5 and then we see if you can look at them. Allowing autonomy and flexibility. So basically, autonomy. Yes, autonomy is a business culture. There are some companies whereby what? They give employees freedom to solve the issue. They're given a problem and they're given. That's their culture means once I give you a problem to solve, I don't follow you up. That's a culture. But the place whereby you're given a problem and you're given a structured way of solving it. There's no autonomy there. It means what? I'm giving you a problem, but I give you how you're supposed to solve it. So autonomy or not having an autonomy in a company is a culture. There are some companies with autonomous cultures, others don't have the autonomous culture. So that's a culture. It's an culture aspect. It's an aspect of culture in the company. I don't know if you answered. I don't know if you answered, Nyatish. Are you well answered? Let me know if you answered so that I can proceed. Okay. Nyatish is answered. Nyatish is well answered. So we can proceed. We can proceed to the next. Now, question 2 is asking, question 2A asks, outline 4 internal factors that affect planning within a company. So which are some of the factors that affect planning? But these factors are, this question is very specific. These factors must be internal factors, means they are factors within the organization. So which factors within the organization can affect how planning or can affect planning as affect planning as a function of management? Number 1 is organizational resources. So your plan must be subject to the resource you have, both human resource, financial resource, and capital resource. If you don't have enough money, don't go for a plan that requires a lot of money and you don't have it. So see that one. The availability of financial, human, and physical resources directly influence the feasibility of plan. That's very true. So basically, planning your plan depends on what? On how much money, even at your level. If you're planning on how to spend your money, you look at how much money you have. So you look at the money first, this is what I have, then from that one you plan. You don't plan, then look for the money. You look for how much you have, then you plan with that, basically. Now, what is the company culture? Basically, your plan must be within the culture. So the company culture is also a very important factor that, or is also a very important factor that basically affects planning. Now, what does that mean? So say that the values and beliefs within our organization can either support or hinder strategic planning. So the culture that you have, you can have a culture that supports planning, or you can have a culture that does not support planning so much. So basically, the culture of the company determines how planning is, or determines what, how you undertake planning, or how planning is undertaken. That's very, very true, very important factor. Then there is what? Management style. That's a very important factor. How you manage. Are you autocratic? Are you democratic? Do you use leadership? So basically, the management practice or the management technique will definitely affect the planning. So that authoritative participative management style affects how plans are developed and implemented. So if you are an authoritative manager, then what happens is that what? You decide on the plans yourself and then tell employees to follow the plan. If you are participative manager, then basically you call people and then you agree as a group on how to come up with a plan and how to implement it. So that is basically what happens. Very, very important. The next question here is organization. The next point is what? Organization structure. Basically, structure you have will affect how you plan. So we say that the way roles and responsibilities are distributed can better or translate or complicate the planning process. So the culture you have, the structure you have, the structure can either support a plan or frustrate or inhibit implementation of plan. So the company culture or structure also plays a vital role in what? In the planning process. That is done. The next question here is asking, somebody has written something. Let me try to get what has been written here. Skills and knowledge of the employees, very true. If you have very skilled and knowledgeable employees, then basically they are going to help you implement the plan very easily. If you have employees who are not skilled and not knowledgeable, then basically implementing or planning function can be difficult in that company. So that's another one. I agree with that. That's very true. That's very true. From that point. This, what time? From what time? You're supposed to go prayer break at what time? We normally go at 7. Now today, what you want us to go at what time? Or it varies? Or 57, there's no problem. Today it's coming early, so there's no problem. We'll leave at 50. Now the next question here is asking. The next question is asking 6:57. Huh? Okay, no problem. Now the next question is asking, summarize 6 types of organizational change in the 21st century. So what are some of the changes that you see right now, currently? 21st century is currently where we are. What are some of the types of the number one call is technological change. You see that technology keep on what changing. It keep on advancing. So basically, technological change is one of the change. So talk about adoption of new technologies like AI. AI is taking over automation and digital platforms. So basically, in this century, then basically we have what technological change. Number 2 is called structural change. The structures changing. So modification of hierarchy, roles, and reporting is basically structure. We talk about the structure change means what? The company structure keeps on changing in terms of what? In terms of hierarchy. We look at the hierarchy and if it's suitable, we implement. If it's not suitable, we change something. Talk about roles. Even roles of managers are changing, are drifting. Roles of managers, roles of employees, even accountant. The roles of accountants in 1980s or the 1970s is not the same as some. There's some roles which have been added additionally to what? Accounting profession. And then reporting, who do you report to? Number 3 is what? Strategic change. You must, this is very important. You must change your strategies to ensure that what? You're able to what? You are able to survive. So a shift in direction, vision, or goals in response to what? Market demand. So basically, your strategies must change in terms of your vision must change, your mission must change, and even your objectives must change. So basically, that's right, change. The number 4 is called cultural change. Companies are changing cultures. So transformation of values, norms, and work ethics. So the values of the companies are changing. Values are accelerated here. So basically, if you look at the values of company in the 1960s and now, they're really different. Norms are changing, and also what? Work ethics. So ethics, companies are nowadays embracing ethics. So you find that what? They're employing a lot of what? A lot of ethical principles of ethics. Then process change. So designing workflow or procedures to enhance productivity and quality. This is very true. The process change means what? There's a process of, like, for example, even the process of applying for an ID in Kenya. There's a way it used to be done. Process of applying for passport. If you look at the way it used to be done in 1960, 70, and now it's different. So that means what? Because of the technology, this what? Of course, nowadays you used to even use what? E-citizen. Traditionally, maybe there was no digital way of doing it. And then you have what's called what? The people-centric change. These are basically change that happens in people and also affect the company. So talk about change in employee roles. The roles are changing. Skills development are changing. New employees are acquiring more skills. Or leadership approach to adapt to modern work. So basically, you need to change your skills. You need to build your skills. You need to ensure that you have a good leadership style, and also you need to ensure that what you have a good approach that's able to help you manage a modern employee. This Gen Z and the new people is very important that you look at that. So our brother had requested for a prayer break at this time. So I'm requesting the rest. You can take a glass of water. Then we meet here at exactly 7. We're taking a 10 minutes break, and by 7 should be back here. Thank you very much. Let's have a small break, then we come back to continue this question. We are back. Please confirm if you're back. Confirm. If you're back, confirm so we can proceed. Good, I can see people responding. That means we can see a good response. Buchi Aziz Orangi, back. So I believe everybody else is back. So the next question here is asking, analyze 5 challenges associated with delegation. Delegation basically means giving some activities to be carried out by a junior. When you are giving your junior some work that is supposed to do on your behalf, that is called delegation. So this question is asking us challenges of delegation, or sometimes reasons why some people would not want to delegate, call them challenges, or why would somebody say that delegation has got the following problems. So what are some of the challenges you are likely to face in delegation? Number one is lack of trust. Sometimes we don't delegate duties to our junior because what? We don't trust them that they're able to what? Do the work the way it's required. So if you don't trust, if you don't have 100% trust that your junior can do the work, then basically delegation becomes very, very difficult because you're doubting them. So managers may say to delegate tasks to their due to fear of what? Subordinates may not perform adequately. When you fear that the junior member of staff may not be able to do the work well, then basically it is a need for it's what? Is a case for what? For fear. So number one is lack of trust. Number two is what? Inadequate training. So that employees may lack necessary skills or knowledge due to what? Poor performance of the research. So basically, when you talk about training, maybe the junior employees are not well trained on how to carry out the delegated tasks. So they may end up doing the work in a very shoddy manner. That's why we say that you can delegate activities or duties, but you can never delegate responsibility. That's why if you believe that your juniors are not competent enough, then basically it's better you don't delegate, because if something goes wrong, you will be blamed, not the junior member of staff. Then number three is fear of loss of control. This is also a very important, a very major challenge. Sometimes, if I'm the senior person, I fear that if I delegate, I'm giving a hypothetical example. If maybe Ngetich is my junior and I'm the senior, now there's a fear that if I delegate due to Ngetich may outperform me. When Ngetich outperforms me, the management or the senior people may believe that what? I was not doing enough. So sometimes you may delegate work to some junior and then he outperforms you, and then it looks like what? You're not doing the work well. So that some managers feel they will lose authority or become less relevant if they delegate important tasks. Sometimes, so some managers feel like what? Because they do those important tasks, they're very important. So if they delegate, then basically the importance for the company goes down. That is one thing that they also feel. Number four is unclear communication. So without clear defined expectations and instructions, delegated tasks may be misunderstood or executed incorrectly. So there's something called information. Anytime you are delegating tasks, giving somebody a task or you're delegating tasks, you must first explain to the party what you expect them to do. You must let them know the do's and the don'ts so that they don't what? They don't start guessing. You must know that what? This is what you're supposed to do in this work and this one don't do. So basically, sometimes we delegate tasks and then we don't tell the employees what, or we don't tell the junior staff what to do. So they start guessing what they think they should be done. So basically, in delegation, ensure that you tell them the expectation that I'm giving you this work, do A, B, C, D, and report back to me. So that's very important to look at that. And then number five is accountability issues. That even when tasks are delegated, the managers remains accountable for results, leading to what? Reluctance to delegate critical assignments. So we talked about responsibility or accountability. Means as a manager, even if you delegate a task to somebody, let's say, for example, Ngetich is my manager. If Ngetich delegates duty to me, and then I do them wrongly, Ngetich will still bear maximum responsibility, and he is accountable for the wrong deeds that I've done. You delegate tasks, but not responsibility or what? Accountability will be here. So for me to, because I can give work for my junior and then he does it badly, and then in case something goes wrong, even in court, I can be the one being held up, being taken to court, not my junior, because I was supposed to do the work. I am the one who delegated the duty to the junior, and I didn't confirm their competence first. I didn't determine their competence first. I just gave them, and then did it wrong. That's very important. That's why even in critical sectors like hospital, even if you are still being trained to be a nurse or a doctor, there's normally a supervisor, an experienced doctor or nurse that works with you. So that what? And they're normally told that this attachee is your responsibility. So ensure that whatever they do, you monitor. So those ones happen in critical areas, even in the aviation industry, pilots basically, before you can be allowed to fly alone, you are normally given an experienced pilot to be taking you until you gain enough flying hours before you can now, so that you can now do the work at least independently. So those ones. So talk about what? Accountability issues means what? The person who delegates the task is still accountable for the task, even if the junior does it wrongly. So that's another challenge in our delegation. So I hope that is understood, those challenges understood. Question number 3, A is asking, in relation to the statement, which statement was that? I think there's something that I left. There's something that I left here. In this question, I don't know if there's somebody with a past paper. So this question, I'll jump it. Somebody write somewhere, write this question, I'm jumping it because write the question on the page, because I know there's a statement, and from that statement, I'm supposed to answer this question. So since I left out the statement, it's going to be very difficult for us to know. But there's no problem. The question just asks about, so you can still answer it basically. Talk about what? Explain some of the characteristics of a group. Also, this question basically asks about what? The features of a group. But if you get the papers, then you can say, what I'll share the papers. Not the one which is not, I'll share the normal papers. These ones are basically the white papers, but we also have normal papers. I don't know if I can send the link. Did I share the link with you? Did I share the link where you can get the papers? Did I share the link? Now we are back. So this question is asking about what? Features of a group. What are some of the characteristics that what a group has? Number one is common goal. So basically, if you work as a group, then basically you must have a common goal. If people have got different goals in a group, then basically that's not a group. A group must ensure that you have a common, like a team, a football team or a whichever team. You do different things, but all of you work towards what? Achieving a win. So that group are formed. Groups are formed with a shared purpose or objective that unites members and drives collaboration. So even a group or a team must be people that what have a common goal. There's a goal that they want to achieve what in commonly. Then the next one is interaction. Interaction is very important. That's because you are a group. Somebody has written something here. Which one? The question. Group formation. Group decision making. We are done it. Even group decision making. So basically, I'm not really, I don't know the specific topic, but I know we are done aspect of groups. If you check the notes, you should be able to see group. Very important that you understand the concept there very, very well. Now, the next one is the next question is asking group norms. There should be a norm. A norm is basically rules that govern the group. You see, anytime you have more than one person in a given situation, you must know that what? There must be some regulations. It happens. There must be some regulations. If you don't do that, then you'll end up what? You'll end up having everybody behaving the way they want. So for a group to move on well, there must be some regulation. There must be regulations put in place to ensure that what? The group functions. So anytime we talk about a group, there must be regulations to govern the group. So we talk about group norms. So informal rules and standards guides how members behave in the group. So basically, that is very true. You must ensure that what in a group there is a way in which people are supposed to behave. So it can be formally or informally. Anytime we talk about group, we talk about aspect of informal group. You and your friends, that is an informal group basically, whereby you interact. But even in that group where you're interacting, we don't write down rules that this is how we want to behave, but automatically in a group you try to what? You try to behave a little bit better, so that what you don't go to an extent of what? Of making other members feel embarrassed, or you don't bring in harmony in the group. So that is very, very important. So we talk about what? Aspect of group norms. So talk about informal rules. Informal means what? They are not set down. If you're a group of your friends, you don't set rules, but basically there's a standard way of behavior that what should be able to have. So talk about informal rules and standards guide how members behave within what the group. Then five is what? Rules, roles, and status. So each group members may have a specific role or status that defines the responsibility and portion. This is very true. When we talk about aspect of what? Aspect of members. Sometimes the group we allocate duties and responsibilities. So you know that you're the group treasurer, you are the chairperson, you are the team leader, you are the sergeant at arms. So basically, sometimes we talk about what the roles given to each group member, and also what the responsibilities. Like in if you look at a group, I've got a team basically. Like in a team football team is an example, a good example of a group could be a team, a football team or an airfield. I know there could be people that here that are not into football, but I'm talking about just a team. A team, if you have a team has got what? Different people doing different things. You have the goalkeeper, we have the defenders, you have the midfielders, we have the attackers. All of them do different things, but at the end of the day, they want to ensure that what? At least they're all. There's a role of a goalkeeper, role of a defender, role of a midfielder, role of a striker. So basically, they do different things, but at the end of the day, they must ensure that what? They help the group achieve it what? Achieve its objective. Very, very important that you look at that perspective very well. The next question is asking, the next question here asks, examine 3 assumptions of Maslow hierarchy of needs. This one we did. We call them theories of management or theories of motivation. You can call them theories of management or theories of motivation. So you're told about 3 assumptions. This guy called Abraham Maslow said that what needs of the human beings are classified from the basic needs all the way to what? To self-actualization. So in doing this, in coming up with these needs, which are normally classified and ranked, there are some assumptions that he was able to say that these some of the assumptions that researchers found that he assumed, or him himself in coming up with that theory, he was able to say that these some of the assumptions to this theory. Now, number one is Maslow believed that needs are hierarchical, means lead follow one another. So, like for example, we said that the first needs are called physiological needs. That means what? Needs for clothing, shelter, and food. Then after that one, then you go to what? Safety needs, security, both job security and physical security. Then social needs, then self-esteem needs, then actualization at the top. So basically, according to him, said that what these needs are hierarchical, means what they are ranked, the first, second, third, until the best, the highest need. But in real life, those needs may not be classified like that one. Sometimes you may you may be in need of two needs at the same time. You need physiological need at all and safety needs at the same time. So basically, they're not ranked in that case. So that human needs follow a specific order: lower physiological and higher level self-regulation. And lower needs must be satisfied. So according to him, he said that what needs must be satisfied what in that order from the lower needs to the middle. But in real sense, that could not be. That's not the case. Sometimes needs can come even there. Some needs you can have needs which cut across the levels at the same time or in one time. Number two, he said that what satisfied needs do not motivate. So according to Abraham Maslow, he said that once a need has been satisfied, then basically it doesn't become a motivation. It was like he's saying that if you're full, if you've eaten and you're full, then food does not become a motivation anymore. Ukishakula umeshiba, then basically food does not motivate you anymore. But the question is, do you get full forever? You get hungry and buy and get food at the end. So basically that one will apply. That's what he said that once a need has been satisfied, then basically it doesn't become motivation. Now, for example, money. Even those who have excess money still need money. So the question is, if you have like, you are worth $10 million, you multiply with the Kenyan money, that's a lot of money. But you still look for money. The question is why? That is money that even if you sit down, you can still live very good life daily without until you die without spending any energy working. But why do you look? So basically that one. And number 3 is what? Everyone has the same needs. So according to Abraham Maslow, that what? Everybody in this world, we have the same needs, which means not the same. People have got different needs, even motivation. That's very true. If you happen to read widely and look what is considered success in some countries, basically, Now, he said that everyone has the same needs. Now, I was trying to give an example that in some countries, success is not determined by how much money you have. They look at the service you offer. So in some countries, however much money you have, when people talk about respect, what have you used for that to do? What have you done with that money? That is basically what concerns them, not like you have, but the most they don't even recognize you. They may recognize somebody with lesser money and has been able to what? Do something to the society. But in the African setup, about money. The more money you have, the more power you have, the more recognized you are. Even in funerals, how much did you contribute? That is what matters. In schools, that's what matters. How much money do you have? In the family, how much money do you have? So that if a younger brother has more money than everybody, the respect is transferred from any other person to the younger brother. You even see some seniors stand up in the seat. Firstborn anaamka kwa kiti, mdogo akae kwa sababu mdogo kuna pesa, which is very unethical. But basically, in Africa, money is what we are worshiping. And we end up dying without what? Getting enough money. So there's something called self-satisfaction. Be satisfied with what you have, but work hard to be able to what? Get something that can take care of you and the people close to you and some people that you can help, basically. But amassing them and stacking them so that you want to be called a billionaire without helping, you may end up dying without using the money. That's how nature is made that way. There's always balance of nature. When you take money from the poor and stack it somewhere, something is going to happen that's going to bring that back, that money. Either you have a sick person, take the hospital, going to kill you, eat your millions, and then money come back to the economy. So basically, right. So I was talking about that one. That's everybody has the same need. So if you look at some people work hard for the money as a need, some people work hard for some other things. So basically, there's no universal need for everybody. Although we need the basic needs are very important, but now other needs may not be the same. So that is those are the assumption of what of Maslow. Those are some of the things that he assumed in coming up with this theory. So these are some of we can call them what prisms of this theory. The next question is saying, explain 3 information roles of manager according to Miss Berg. Managerial theory. So Miss Berg was able to classify management roles, I think, into 3 categories. So I think it's 3 or 5 category. And the first, the one category was what? Talk about information roles for manager. What are the 3 information roles for manager? Basically, number 1 is monitor role. A manager is supposed to what? Is supposed to collect, analyze information from both internal and also what? To stay updated on what environment. So basically, as a manager, you must collect both internal information in the company and external information, and then analyze them to help you what? Make a proper decision for the company. Number 2 is what? Disseminator role. So that information you are collecting from the environment, both internal and external, is not for only you. You're supposed to pass it. Dissemination is what? You're passing that information to other people. So you're supposed to, sometimes you go for these meetings, these top level meetings you discuss. The training or the idea you have come up with, you are supposed to disseminate, let other people know what you've discussed. That can help the company. So that the manager shares relevant information with the team members to ensure everyone is informed and aligned with organizational goals. You're supposed to disseminate any relevant information that you think can help the team, then basically disseminate it, pass it to other people. And then number 3 is what? Spokesperson's role. As a manager also, you are the spokesperson of the company. If something goes wrong in a given company, you just where is the manager? Where is the CEO of this company? Mkubwa ni nani? That means what? Sometimes as a manager, when the company needs to pass some information, it will be upon you to pass that information. So that is called what? informational role of a manager. As a manager, you are supposed to pass information to the people concerned or to your juniors. So those are the three information roles of manager according to 𝐉𝐎𝐈𝐍 management theory. So 𝐉𝐎𝐈𝐍 was able, or 𝐉𝐎𝐈𝐍 was able to categorize the roles. So he was able to group the roles. The group roles, very, very important. So he was able to group the roles. So he was able to get them and group them. That is basically what so he wanted to pass. Then the next question is asking question 4A. Say that state 5 principles of task specialization as proposed by Max Weber in his theory of bureaucracy. See, Max Weber is coming up again. So principles of what? Of task special. So Max Weber advocated that what? People should do what they're specialized in. That's called task specialization. You must do what you're specialized in. If you've done accounting, do accounting work. If you've done procurement, do procurement work. So Max Weber was advocating that what? People should be put in areas that they are conversant with and or areas that they have information or knowledge in. That is what Max Weber was advocating for. That is what Max Weber was advocating for. Max Weber. Now let's look at the theory. So what are some of the principles of this task reviewed by Max Weber? Number one is division of labor. Max Weber said that don't let somebody do work from the start to the end. Divide labor so that somebody does a part of the work, other person picks, so that the work is done in piecemeal. Accountant wafanye kazi yao ya accounting, accountant do their work in accounting. Procurement people let them do procurement work. Sales and marketing. So let's divide. So tasks are clearly defined and divided among individuals based on specialization area of specialization, promoting efficiency and experts. So if you're accounting, and doing accounting work, you're very efficient. But if I've done procurement and then I'm put in accounting work, then basically I start guessing and I end up messing up the company. Number two is what? Hierarchy of authority. So a structured chain of command exists where each position is supervised by a higher level, ensuring order and account. So you also said, I talked about what hierarchy, that there must be an order in terms of authority. Who is the senior most, followed by you until junior, and the aspect of what? Of passing information or authority. Number three is about formal rules and regulations. So a set of standardized rules govern operations and decision making to ensure uniformity and control. So it's also what? Max Weber also advocated for what? Like that you should be able to what? Have rules and regulations that what? Everybody behaves uniformly. If we have rules that govern a given, for example, we have something called the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. That document basically controls all procurement officers in public sector, whether you're in the parastatal, in the county government, national. So that means what? There should be a uniform behavior of procurement officer, irrespective of the department, of the parastatal, or of the public institution you are in. So basically, look at that. Then number four is what? Impersonality. So tasks and decisions are performed without personal involvement or resume, ensuring objectivity and fairness. So Max Weber also said that what? Anytime you're given a job to do, be in person. Means what? Don't do a job, look at the benefit you get from it. Or like, for example, if I'm doing procurement, then I say that, okay, I talk to a supplier, hey, in fact, I'll give this 10, and then what? Give me a kickback of 10%. That is as well, that's conflict of interest. So basically, I say that what? say that tasks and decisions are performed without personal involvement or you don't favor ensuring objectivity and fairness. And then number 5 is employment based on technical competence. So if you want to employ somebody, look at are they technically able to carry out the task well. So that recruitment and promotion are based on qualification. So if I want to employ somebody or I want to recruit somebody, I want to promote somebody, I must look at number 1. What is your qualification? What is your experience? And merit rather than what? Personal connection means what? You employ somebody because it is from your tribe. You employ somebody because it's a family member. You employ a person because of your friend. You are subjective. You look at other factors. Being a friend doesn't qualify you to get a job for me. Being a relative is not a qualification of getting a job. If you're going to be my relative, then compete with everybody. If you're the best amongst them, then I choose you. So I can even support. I can justify your inclusion. Sometimes, you see, if my brother applies for a job and is the best among the people, that's how I apply for a job. So should I deny my brother a job because he's my brother? But in case I'm being questioned, can I justify why my brother got the job? If people are doubting me, then basically what do? I can excuse myself. I can declare consider what among the candidates being interviewed here, I have my brother is amongst them, or I have a kin here. You don't say your brother. You see your brother, your sister, you're narrowing down. You say, I have a kin here. I have a relative that is what is coming for the interview, so that people don't know whether it's a male or a female. So because of that, I'm not going to be part of this interview panel. So you excuse yourself so that, and if he still wins, still get the job, then basically you didn't have any influence. But what normally happens in this kind of arrangements is that CEO knows that his brother is there, or his sister, or the sister to the wife is there. Then he comes and say, I'm giving hypothetical example. Don't take offense in it. I'm just giving you a practical, a hypothetical example. So let's say, for example, the person being the CEO, Ambuche is the CEO's brother. So the CEO goes to the panel. When they're about to task this, that no, I'm not going to be part of this panel of selection because I have a brother here called Ambuche Gilbert. And because of that, I cannot be part of this discussion or selection panel. I think that's a very bad thing because first, he has named the person that Ambuche Gilbert is his brother. That is a communication. He's saying that I'm leaving, but ensure my brother gets the job. You know that? Because the question is, CEO is the topmost in the hierarchy of management. You are a junior person from the HR office. Will you deny Ambuche a job? As that Ambuche didn't get a job. So basically, it's problematic. So don't name. Just tell I have a king coming for the interview, so I cannot be here. But if you want to name Ambuche, then you start thinking when Ambuche comes to the panel, then all of us are saying that hey, this CEO's brother, bro. We have to give this guy a job. If you don't give this guy a job, we're in trouble. So you don't name somebody, just say that what? I have a king who's coming for the interview, so I'll not be part of it. I've seen some people are reading something here. Somebody says something here. Let me get the question. It's conflict of interest, basically. It's conflict of interest. Right? So that's what happens. Even in tendering. Tendering, basically. It just happens in tendering. Where somebody says that what? My wife is among the people that bid for the tender. Tender number, or maybe gives the name of the company. Say that Cauldron Solutions belong to my wife, so cannot be part of what? This tender committee. That means he has told you that he's leaving but take care of Cauldron Solution because that is his wife's company. So those are how they work. That's how they operate. While the CEO said that the wife has a tender as a Cauldron is this wife, the CEO's company, wife's company. Wewe ni nani utakataza CEO? Even if he says he has a kin coming, the second name will be automatic to fill the question. Basically, if they're using they're using maybe what they call the family name, then basically You see the family. So those things happen, basically. Those things happen. In work, at the work environment here, you see those things happen. Sometimes that's why some people go for the interview and say that it's a formality. Especially anybody here works is there anybody here works at the county government? Anybody here works at the county government? I want to talk bad about county government, so I need to confirm if somebody's here, so I don't talk bad about the county government. But I believe the county government is the worst employer. I don't know. I have my reservations, but I believe that county governments are the worst employers. I don't know why I have that perception is that first, incompetence. Incompetence is paramount in county governments. People cannot even read. But don't take it personal. If you are in the county government, you have got employed there, please. I'm just giving an opinion. Opinion is everybody's opinion, so don't take it personal. Now, in the county government is the worst employer. First, there's no merit-based recruitment. There's no merit at all. Positions are being taken at the table level. We want to employ directors, governor, tech two, speaker, another one, the county senator, two, the women rep, one. They are divided like that. So when you go for the interview, you from Nairobi here say that, oh, I've seen a good position in the county government, let me apply. I'm telling you, you are not going to get it. Yes, that's how it happens. How people here understand these things. But now I can watch what they understand these things. So that's why sometimes in this life you don't need to be in this life. Don't try to look for so many. Don't try to look for so much knowledge. You'll get stressed out. Don't think too much. Just believe. Be a danda. If you're danda, you live so long. But if you are critical, you can commit suicide. Because you ask yourself, how will I get employed? So in this country, stop thinking too much, live within life, whatever you need. But if you're not thinking that I'm qualified, I can get a job, you're going to stress and leave them. And they're still going to laugh all the way to whenever they're going. So basically, be stupid, try what you're doing, and forget about something. Don't be so much optimistic. Don't live so much on hope. Now, the next question here is, describe 5 factors that to consider during strategic analysis of internal environment, the company. So what factors do you consider during strategic? We are not talking about just analysis, talk about what? Strategic analysis of internal environment of the company. Factors, we talk them what? We talk about internal environmental factors that we look at. Number one, somebody has written something. Let me check on the, can see something popping up. I jumped the question. Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you very much for that. Let me go back to the question. Sorry. So highlight 5 factors that should be considered by an institution when developing what? Its structure. If you want to come up with a company structure, organizational structure, what factor do you consider? Number is what? The size of the organization, basically. There's some structure that way. If you have a small company, then the structure will be maybe one level. You are the manager and you are the sole proprietor, basically. So the bigger the company, the more complex the structure becomes. So say that large institutions may require complex structures while matching with multiple departments, while smaller ones can operate with simpler framework. You can be an accountant, a procurement officer. If your company is just starting, you can be an accountant, a procurement officer, market at the same time. But if the company becomes bigger, then basically you need what? People in those areas. Number 2 is what? Nature of activity. What do you do in that company? Which are the activities that are involved here? So the type of product or service offered influence whether a functional product-based or matrix structure is mostly. So basically, depending on what you do, you can decide whether you go for a functional structure where you have departments, or you can go for what? A product-based culture where you have a product line, and then also matrix where you have a mix of what? Of process and product-based functional structure. Then number 3 is what? Technology use. So that the level and type of technology adopted may necessitate what? Specialized department or roles within the company. Technology is very important, basically. And technology has been able to collapse. Most of the vertical company structure have been collapsed by technology. So nowadays you can communicate through. That's why you see even in some of the WhatsApp groups, you find that even the dean of school of business, we're in a business department, university, you find that HOD is there, the dean is there, and lecturers are there, senior lecturers. So basically means, and if we discuss an issue in that department or in that WhatsApp group means we are passing, the levels are passing. But if there's no structure, that means we're below the limit. But if we didn't have a WhatsApp group, if I want to talk to, I want to discuss an issue that touches on the DVC, then basically I have to go through the HOD and all those things to the formal structure. So then number 4 is what? Geographical spread. That's very true, basically. How far you are from one another determines the structure you will develop. So, organizations operating in multiple regions may require decentralized or divisional structures to manage operations. So, if you have maybe we have a if maybe we have just a minute. So I was talking about geographical spread means sometimes when the company is spread into a bigger geographical area, then basically there's some structure you cannot use. So if you have another branch in Uganda, Zimbabwe, Egypt, then basically you cannot go forward. You cannot go for let's say functional structure. You can go forward for maybe divisional structure. Then organizational culture and leadership style, basically the culture you have as a company. And then leadership style. Is it democratic? Is it autocratic? Is it laissez-faire? Is it transformational? So basically, those are determined. Because if you're a transformational leader or a democratic leader, basically you want a more condensed leadership structure, not a one with a lot of hierarchy, because you want people to get to know you, discuss issues with you without any barrier. So the dominant value and leadership approach determines whether a more hierarchical or flexible structure is applicable. So transformational leadership style, normally they want what's called what? A more flexible structure, whereby people are able to what? People are able to discuss issues in the open without basically bringing any problem or without any barrier. Next question here is asking. Next question is asking. Describe 5 factors that consider during what analysis of the internal rational environment. This question is basically ask you to explain some of what these internal factors of the company. Number 1, somebody is doing something. Let me see. Of course, we have other factors. We have other factors that affects. We have other factors. Aziz is asking, do we have anybody who can bring another factor? Factors which affect five factors that could consider what? Developing the structure. Even the government regulations, basically, there are rules and regulations. Now, there are some things that even when you're forming, you're told that you need to what? You need to have a secretary. So basically, those resource constraints or that resource constraints, right? Yes, even resource constraints. Basically, some structures are very expensive to set up and run. Others are cheaper. So basically, if you have enough resources, you can go for a complex structure. But if you don't have resources, then basically go for a single. So basically, resource constraint, especially financial resource, is another one, and even human resource. They are that double up. He is the procurement officer and account at the same time because what the company cannot be able to what? Employ 2 people. So what happens? Somebody is a procurement officer on this side at the same time. Is what? He is the accountant. It happens. They put that double up. They put that double up as what? They put that double up as competence of the staff. Yes. Competency could be, yeah, that one I know. That one I know. The competence of the staff. That means what there's some staff that very competent staff members can be able to watch to manage even a bigger staff, or they can even double up. They can do two functions at the same time. But if you have incompetence, then it's of course and all. So competent staff type of structure, e.g., so leadership, and then this that's not that is not it is structure. That is basically ownership style. When you talk about some leadership and the company, is it a structure or it is ownership style, ownership method? Get it? So self-leadership, partnership, limited company, does that talk about the ownership style or the structure? Get it? We may be talking about the same thing. Yes, yes, ownership. So thank you, madam. Orang is asking a very good question. Does the size of the organization refers to number of staff or the number of organization staff branches? You know, we talk about factors that determines the size of the company. One of them is basically the number of staff you have. If you look at, we talk about SMEs. If you look at the definition of SMEs, they even talk about an SME is a company with some number of staff. So basically, the number of staff. Number two is what we call the turnover. Profit turnover determines how much do you make as a company. That one determines basically the size of the company. Geographical coverage. How are you spread? Are you in Nairobi County alone? Are you in metropolitan, that's Nairobi, Kiambu, and Machakos County? Are you countrywide? Are you regional company? Are you a global company? So basically, that one. Somebody is asking me, Mwalimu, just highlight what are types of union structure. We have the functional structure. We have the matrix structure. Union structures are quite a number. We have the matrix structure. We have the functional structure. We have the divisional structure. And so the most common one are basically functional division, matrix, and then team-based structure, basically, yeah. So at least you people know them. So at least I can see you. But in your learning, look at the functional structure, advantage, and the features. Look at divisional structure. Look at the matrix structure, and also what? Maybe the team structure. Those are the most common ones. So those ones are mainly apply. If you go to all these companies in town here, you find that they have departments. So basically, this is a functional structure whereby you have marketing department, production department, and all those things. So, but in government organizations, basically, your government say what? This is the production unit. This one is marketing unit. Basically, that's now called the additional structure whereby you have like a unit. And this is the production unit. Additional, this is the marketing unit. Then basically, those are now what a little bit more advanced. Any other question? Questions zimekuja mingi sana. Any other question? Any other question? Any other question? So this one just based, I can see some highlighted question. SBUs must be specific business units. Does that what it means? Are they the specific business units? Oh, strategic business units. Are the strategic business units considered a structure? No, it's not a structure. It's not a structure, basically. It is within a structure, but not a structure per se. Cannot be a structure per se, because there's an aspect of what? An aspect of interaction between other departments. So basically, but SBU basically means strategic business unit. Basically means what? These are now. You see, in a business, there's whatever strategic business unit means what? It's an area that's, for example, in uni, school of business or school of law. Do you consider them as what? As a structure? Basically, if you look at the structure of the department, a business department, or we talk about school of business or school of law. These are normally, we call them social sciences. So you can have a school where we have a social sciences, then school of law. But basically, depending on the size of the company, or the size of the Start of the university, basically, you can now have what? Because even I've seen companies where what, even the school of business is divided because of the number. So they divide. So if you could do the structure of the company, or if you do the structure of the university, then basically SBU will be part of what? The structure. You see now, in the setup of university, basically, the departments are like the schools. Yes, department and section, basically. All those are right. Business department, then sections. There you have the law. We can talk about School of Social Sciences, whereby you have the School of Law as a section of the department, and so on. So basically, depends. The bigger the university, the more complex the structure is. But if you're drawing it, then basically you'll include all those aspects. So you can be able to what? You can be able to use them as what? A structure. That's an academic institution. So sometimes structures of companies differ because of what? The nature of the business they're doing. Like a university and a production business, or if you are doing manufacturing, basically the structure will vary because of what? The nature of the business they're doing. So they may not have the same structure, but even the naming, maybe you might find that the name they're using is different, but they could mean almost the same thing. So that's a very complex. So they leo tumeenda sana, tumeenda complex sana. That means people understanding. So I would request, because of time, we can stop there. And I want to say that this Saturday we'll be having our last class for this semester. We're going to have a last class for this semester. And I know you're confident now. And I pray that all of you pass exams. And I know you want to pass because the work we have put through in this unit, I'm sure that you want to pass. And after exam, some of you will inbox mwalimu ile tu sijui, but let's wait. But I know that one I did well. I know my students, they normally come back to me and tell me, mwalimu, that was a very good paper. So I expect that to be a good paper. So I want to wish you well, but I will be here Saturday, so we can talk about the papers. We can wish ourselves well. We can do. I don't do predictions. I don't do prediction. I don't do prediction because once I do something called prediction, then people start concentrating on the prediction and they may even stop revising other things. And then if those things don't appear, then we have done more harm to you than good. But basically, I can just give you some questions to look at. That means I say that in addition to what you have in your past papers, also look at this. But I cannot say that this is a prediction because I don't want you to start concentrating on something, then you go there and define different question. Then I'll be like, mwalimu ni ametudanganya. So everything we are doing here, we have already predicted our questions and answered some questions that are coming to the exam. Sasa hivi ujue kuna maswali mengine ushafanya hapa na ziko kwa mtihani. Sasa kuna maswali tumefanya hapa kama maswali kama 5 labda kwa mtihani. So we have predicted well. Yes, that is what I need. Anytime you go to do a professional paper, have an open mind. Know that you can come up with a point and support your points. Don't be just cramming. Right now you have knowledge. Uko na akili ya kufikiria. There are points that I did not give you in the notes, but you can be able to come up with that point and justify it. In CASNEB exams, we mark what we call, does student have a point? Are they able to substantiate it? Can you support your point? If you support it strongly, we give you a tick. Somebody's asking, Wendy, anyone with the CS April sitting, when did that paper and send it to you? Wendy Wangali. Wendy, that paper is in the group. Look at the CS past papers and send. And even this combined one. Let me go back. Wendy najua hii paper tuko nayo hapa. Kwa hizi, you see this one we are doing here. Look at this one. This one is, look at this. Wendy, what is appearing in your screen? Look at the first paper there. Which one is it? Wendy, do you see what is in your screen? That is which one? April 2025. So Wendy, that one tells me that Wendy, you don't look at my past papers. You just meet them in class like we were meeting here. But I know now, from today all the way to Monday, some of you will put your legs order. But if you are read well, you will be comforted. But all of you want to pass. So with those few remarks, I want to wish you a good week. Let's meet. If God protects me and protects you, we're going to meet on Saturday and discuss more, and then just wish ourselves well in the exam. And then after the exams, we'll talk and see what happens, what came, what not came, and then we can continue next semester. If God allows us to have a unit with you, I'll be there. But even if I don't have a unit, basically, I'll still be in the institution. We'll discuss. So with those remarks, have a blessed evening. Thank you. Good, Aziz. Oh, you have a good night.
This should be our topic number 5. Topic number 5. Topic number 5. Topic number 5. Remember, our classes started on 5th of May. So that's why you can see we have covered a number of topics, but most of the topics which we have done, like the topic of employees benefit, the topic of operating segment, those are topics I think we did with just one class. Understand? Yes. So you just maybe you just need to create like 1 hour 30 minutes, or maybe 1 hour 20 minutes to be able to watch some of those particular small topics. So I want us to look on this topic, financial instrument, and basically I've said this is something you covered in financial reporting and analysis. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves here, what are financial instruments? Financial instruments generally, this refers to the various securities which are issued by the company whenever the company wants to raise capital. Like what we know is that if a company wants to raise a capital, the company may decide to issue shares. The company may decide to issue things like debentures, things like what? Like bonds. So those securities which are issued by the company to raise capital, generally this now what referred as a financial instrument. But what is the definition of a financial instrument in accordance with IFRS 9? IFRS 9 defines a financial instrument as any contract which is entered into by the company and basically give rise to a financial asset, one of the company within that contract, and also give rise to a financial liability or equity to the other company. Yes, are you there? So if we go to the requirement, therefore, we are required to prepare the consolidated statement of profit or loss, consolidated statement of a financial position. So in preparing those consolidated financial statements, we will add similar items of assets and liabilities, those of the parent, those of the subsidiary. That does not apply to the joint venture. For the joint venture, in the consolidated statement of profit or loss, we will compute the parent company share of profit after tax, another comprehensive income, and also we compute something called the investment in what? In joint venture, or the investment in joint arrangement. This one, we can also refer to it as a joint arrangement because the parent company have a joint arrangement with another company to control this, to jointly control that one. So I think we have that. Then we will be able to come back to that paragraph 2, because we have the aspect of deferred consideration, but we will only come back there when computing the goodwill. So that deferred consideration, remember we said we have to discount it to its present value using the parent company cost of capital. That's why you can see you're given the cost of capital of Block Limited. That is for the purpose of getting the present value of that. So I want us to go to the additional information now. Let's go to note number 1. And in note number 1, what are we told? We are told at the date of acquisition. At the date of acquisition, the fair value of Paper Limited, remember Paper now is the subsidiary, Paper Limited net asset approximated their carrying amount with an exception of some office equipment whose carrying amount was 560 million below the fair value. And then you're told at this date, the office equipment had a remaining economic useful life of 8 years. And then you're told depreciation on office equipment is an administrative cost. And then you're told no fair value adjustment were necessary in the acquisition of CSAT. What does that mean? It means that on the date this company was acquired, that is the subsidiary company revalued the assets. Revalued the asset. And if you can be able to recall, we refer to that as the fair value adjustment or the fair value exercise. And actually we said once the subsidiary company revalued the asset, the subsidiary company does not account for that revaluation. As a result of that, when preparing the group account, we talked about 2 key consolidation adjustments we make. The first one is called the revaluation adjustment, which is an adjustment relating to the revaluation gain, and the other one is depreciation adjustments, whereby we have to compute depreciation and the charge. So therefore, we need to do some working as far as that is concerned. Note 1 is concerned, which we are saying is a fair value adjustment, or basically the fair value exercise. Let's just refer to it as the fair value adjustment, and this is by Paper Limited. By Paper Limited. So we need to make 2 adjustments as far as this is concerned. The first one is called the revaluation adjustment, and basically this is the adjustment in relation to the revaluation gain or loss. But remember, you see in most of the questions for group account, you'll come across a revaluation gain. So that's why we are told in the first paragraph, in the first sentence of note 1, we are told at the date of acquisition, the fair value of Paper Limited net asset approximated the carrying amount, with an exception of an item of office equipment whose carrying amount was 560 million below. So this one was below or was less than fair value with 560 million. In other terms here, we can say the fair value, we start with the fair value, then we change this inequality sign. Remember, this was less than. So we change this now to greater than. If we start with this, so this one will be greater than carrying amount with an amount of what? 560. So if the fair value of an asset is more than its carrying amount, automatically that is a revaluation gain. So the fair value of this item of office equipment was more than carrying amount. Remember, carrying amount, this one can also be known as the net book value with an amount of 560 million. So because this revaluation, okay, this 561, we are saying this is a revaluation gain. This is a revaluation gain by paper. Did the paper limited accounted for this revaluation gain? No. So therefore, in preparing the consolidated financial statement, this one will be added to the group PPE. And number two, we say that this one is a pre-acquisition revaluation reserve. Being a pre-acquisition revaluation reserve, we use that in the computation of goodwill, because we say in computing the goodwill on acquisition of this, we need to have we need to compute its fair value. We need to compute the fair value of its net asset on the date of acquisition. How do we compute that? We take the ordinary share capital of the subsidiary plus pre-acquisition reserves. This will be one of the pre-acquisition reserve. Next, we need to compute something called the depreciation other charge. Depreciation other charge. And equally this depreciation other charge will be by paper, is by paper limited. So you need to recall the formula. There is a formula which I gave you here. That is basically what you need to remember. We said we take the revaluation gain, divided that with the remaining useful life of the asset, and then we multiply this with what? With the proportion of time. The proportion of time is basically the time we have, or basically the number of years, the number of months we have, from the date of acquisition, the date of DOA, to the date of consolidation. Remember, the date of acquisition is the date the subsidiary was acquired. The subsidiary was acquired on which date? There, 1st of April 2024. The date of consolidation, this one, DOC, this is the date we are required to prepare the group accounts. And if you go to the requirement, you'll be able to see when are we required to prepare the group accounts as per the requirement. The year which ended 31st of March 2025. So that is the date of consolidation. And actually this year, because the year of the group is ending at 31st of March, it starts on 1st of April. So this year started on 1st of April 2024. So therefore you can see our subsidiary here was acquired exactly at the start. Was acquired exactly at the start of what? Of the year. So therefore, the proportion of time we have here will be 1 year. Will be one what? Year. We're interested with the depreciation other charge for 1 year. We will take the revaluation gain, which we have here, 560 million. We are applying this formula. We divide that with the remaining useful price. And I hope you can see that within note 1. Can you see the remaining useful price? How many years? In note 1, remaining useful price. In note 1, how many years? Who can see that? Who can see that? Who can see that? 8 years. The remaining useful price of that asset, can you see that? Should be 8 what? 8 years. 8 years. So we divide that with 8. And then the proportion of time here we are saying is 1 what? Is 1 year. If, for example, in our case, we had 6 months here, we had 6 months. So then the proportion of time here is always 6 over 12. If we had, for example, 2 years, we're interested in the depreciation other charge for 2 years. Our proportion of time should be 2. Should be what? 2. But in our case, we're interested with depreciation other charge for how many years? For 1 year. For 1 year. For 1 year. So this will give us 70 million. Now, this 70 million, which items will be adjusted here? One, this one will be deducted from the group PPE. When preparing our consolidated statement of financial position, we left that from the PPE. Number 2, we will also deduct this from the retained earnings of which company? Of paper. Retained earnings of paper. And number 3, in preparation of the consolidated income statement, because we are required to prepare that, the consolidated statement of profit or loss, this one will be adjusted where we have said any depreciation other charge should be added to the cost of sales unless otherwise. If you check on the information which are given in note number 1, we are told that depreciation of the office equipment is an administrative expense. Are we going to add this to the cost of sales? No. No. So in this case, we will add this depreciation other charge to what? To the administrative expenses. To the administrative what? Expenses. But if the question was cited, that one should be added to the cost of sales. So we are done with that. This is something which you have to understand, because in all questions for group account, you will come across this particular concept that the subsidiary company revalued the asset but never accounted for that. Which adjustments are required? 2, the revaluation gain and the depreciation other charge. Let's move to point number 2, where we are told Lock Limited, which is basically the parent, measures the non-controlling interest in subsidiaries at the fair value. This is something I explained, that if you come across that information, that it is a policy of the group, it is a policy of the parent company to measure NCI at fair value, that information is basically to help you in computation of goodwill. And who can tell us, based on that information, which method are we going to use in the computation of goodwill? The goodwill on acquisition of this subsidiary. Which method are we going to use? Are we going to use the partial goodwill method? Are we going to use the full goodwill method? Which method are we going to use based on that information which we have there? Based on that information, which method